As I said at the beginning of the call, if I had to pick one lesson that I've learned since I've been studying with Bob, it would be this lesson on how to change your self-image. You look at how whatever the mechanism that we were looking at on each of the individual screens, it follows a course, then it goes a little bit off, and then it comes right back. And it did that in all these different scenarios: dieting, grades, an airplane, a thermostat, a thermometer. And so that's what happens to us. We get an idea, we get this idea of what we want, and it's outside of our existing reality, our existing life. And so for a minute we go off the course towards this big dream, this big goal, but we come right back. And that is the power of our self-image. Maxwell Maltz, he wrote Psycho-Cybernetics, and he talks about self-image. He said self-image is our own conception of the sort of person I am. Each of us builds a self-image out of his beliefs about himself. It's unconsciously formed from past experiences, our successes and failures, our humiliations and triumphs. It determines the way we interpret other people's reactions to us. In short, this mental picture we have of ourselves turns out to be a kind of life-governing device. I mean, that is so huge. And so what we are studying today is how do we change that self-image, and not only how do we change it, for a fleeting moment, but how do we really impress in our whole emotional being this new self-image of who we are, so that when we go out and we're pursuing that goal and that dream, we don't keep getting pulled right back to our existing reality. And we want to understand everything is here that we need to get whatever we want. Nothing is created or destroyed. It is all here. And we want to let go of the past and build a picture of us, who we want to be. We want to be in pursuit of that, of who we want to be. Kathy mentioned The Art of Acting by Stella Adler. It's such a great book. I have read it over and over and over. That's what we're doing, is we're acting until we become. We're using, and she says in the book, Stella Adler, she says, you've got to have a great voice to be an actor. You've got to have a fit body. There's all kinds of things you need to do, but what you mostly need to do is work on your mind. And that's what we're talking about here. We are creative beings. We have these intellectual faculties that allow us to create absolutely anything we want. And it's our job to hold that image of who we want. It was the first day of the seminar, and I'll never forget it. I know exactly where I was sitting. It was the first time I saw Bob Procter live, and it was a life-changing experience, a 3-day event. And I was a corporate attorney, and as Bob said, I was doing very well with my practice and making great money, wonderful clients, really at the top of my career, and really going just on an upward trajectory. And Bob got me thinking about what I really wanted out of my life. And at one point, it was like a bucket of ice getting poured over me, where I realized, even though I thought I was living the life I wanted, I wasn't. There was so much more that I wanted to experience. And so he kept saying, what do you want? What do you really want? My imagination started running away with me. And I wrote down in my workbook, it was the Science of Getting Rich seminar, and I wrote in my workbook that I wanted to be in the inner circle of life success, and I wanted to produce a program with Bob Procter that I could bring into corporations, because I just saw all of the corporations that I had worked with over the past 20 years and how this would change their life and allow them to get better results. And then what did I do? Close my workbook and kind of laughed at myself. I closed it because I didn't want anyone to see it. I wrote it in really teeny print. And picture yourself with your new vision. It's like you can be embarrassed to share it because it's so different than the current image you have of yourself. But the beautiful thing is, you can change that image. And you can get whatever you want. Now, visioneering This is the mental exercise that we're going to talk about today. And this is where you really, truly begin to create your world. We don't learn this in school. I had the best education in the U.S. and the U.K. I did very well in school. And Bob taught this, and I thought, why didn't I learn this? Because it's so powerful. And in our intellectual mind, we don't want to believe that we could actually do this because our paradigm's saying we can't. But we can. And this is so powerful. Visioneering. This is where you truly begin to create your world through the effective use of your higher faculties. You create and hold the image of what you want. What higher faculty are we talking about? We're talking about the imagination. And, the imagination, if you think about it, it will take you where no one has gone, literally. I mean, the Wright brothers, they got us flying. No one had been there. And they weren't some brilliant scientists with a boatload of money and education. They were two bicycle mechanics that had a picture in their mind of getting a plane in the air. And they would say to each other, they'd try to get the plane up and it would crash down, and one brother would say to the other, I can see it, brother, I can see it. They saw it in their imagination, the mental faculty out of which visions arise. It's where we can see what isn't here. And it deals with the might element of life. What is possible for you in your life? Let your imagination show you. Charles Revson, there's a great book, Fire and Ice, and it's about Charles Revson. He created Revlon and really launched the whole cosmetic industry. And this was during the Depression. And what a vivid imagination he had. Here, he's a man. He's kind of a ladies' man, real debonair. And but he had a passion about lipstick and fingernail polish. And this is when all these businesses are going out, going under, failing, and he wants to create Revlon. And he let his imagination show him women with, glossy pink lips and matching red fingernails and toenails, and he let his imagination run wild. He created a vision for this whole industry, and Revlon went on to be one of the greatest companies really ever. That's what we can do with our imagination. And our imagination is one of our intellectual faculties. The intellectual faculties are our perception, our will, our imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. And now what we're doing with the visioneering exercise, and we want to learn to do this on our own every day, at least twice a day. We'll get into that. But what you're doing is, we're conditioned to take everything in through our senses. See, hear, smell, taste, touch. We want to block those out. And we want to focus on two of our intellectual faculties, our will and our imagination. The imagination is where we build the picture of who we are, because we're talking about self-image now. We can build the picture of what we want to do equally effectively. We build that picture with our imagination, and then we hold it on the screen of our mind with our will. And that allows us to keep all our doubt and all our conflicting pictures of who we are out. And it allows us to impress this image upon our emotional mind. And when we impress this image upon our emotional mind, when we truly impress it, then we unlock the kingdom to anything we want. And it moves us into a whole different vibration. It taps us into all kinds of resources, everything that we need to move that image into form. Now, that's what we're going to talk about here with this lesson. And so there was a woman named Genevieve Durand, and she was a beautiful writer. She was a the only private pupil of Thomas Troward. And Thomas Troward was just a prolific writer on mental science back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, and he wrote some amazing stuff. Well, Genevieve Behrend studied with him for 2 years. She used Visioneering to get Thomas Troward to take her as his only private pupil. She used it to attract the money she needed to travel across the world to study with Troward. And it's her little book, Your Invisible Power, is just a fascinating book, and you want to get it if you want to keep studying this, which I highly encourage you to do. Now, Genevieve Behrend, she taught us how to create a new image. You know, she understood. It's like Van Gogh. You asked, how did you paint such a beautiful painting? And he said, I dream my painting and then I paint my dream. Well, that's what visioneering and visualization is. And we're going to go through this order of visualization. It's about 5 paragraphs, and I study it every day. I've been studying it every day for about 5 years. I've meditated on it, studied it thousands of times, and I would encourage you to write this out as you're really learning this exercise of visioneering and working it into your daily routine. Write these paragraphs out every single day. When we go through this, let's really dig into the meaning behind the word, because this is very deep, what Genevieve Behrend says here. And every word has just a pack full of meaning. And we want to get into the spirit of the ideas that she is relating here so that we can use this in our life. Now, she starts out by saying the exercise of the visualizing faculty keeps your mind in order. And so the visualizing faculty, that's the imagination. But she's talking about exercising the imagination, because we have really been taught to not use our imagination. You know, I'm sure you can recall times when you were in school and you were kind of gazing out the window, fantasizing about something, and the teacher, maybe if you were in a Catholic school like I was, they came by with the ruler and smacked you on the hand. Pay attention, Sandy. You know, we are taught not to use our imagination, and we don't value it. We want to start valuing it and exercising it, because most people don't use their imagination effectively. In fact, the imagination uses them and creates things in their life that they don't want. So Genevieve Behrend, she says, exercise the visualizing faculty, and that's going to keep your mind in order and attract to you what you need to make your life more enjoyable and in an orderly way. So she's talking about order here. Keeps your mind in order. Attracts to you what you need and in an orderly way. Why do we care about order? You know, why do we care about order? If we think about it, Thomas Troward in Your Hidden Power, he said that order is the answer to the riddle of life. See, order is what it's all about. If you think of it, if we understand that we think in pictures and that our thought creates all the results in our life, but if our thoughts are not in order, what kind of results are we creating? If we've got confusion in our mind, that can lead to all kinds of crazy, chaotic results in our life. It can lead to a death of a business. It can lead to our being unhealthy in our body. It can lead to us being broke. You know, think of it as a simple analogy. If you go and wash your car, and it's a funny thing, it's all clean and shiny, it seems like it runs better, doesn't it? And it's the same thing with our mind. When we have a clear picture, a clear image with our imagination, and we have it on our mind, and it's so clear, we've got this beautiful order. Everything runs smoothly. We're on a path of growth. We're on a path of creating, and it's a path that takes us directly there. We don't have this start-stop. Decisions are easy. Taking action is easy because we've got this clear, nice, beautiful order. And Genevieve Behrend, she says it attracts to you what you need to make your life more enjoyable and in an orderly way, which is such a beautiful thing because it works for everybody. I mean, what I need to make my life enjoyable is going to be much different than what you need to make your life more enjoyable. But what we're talking about is a creative process that works for all of us, and it's our personal factor or our thought, our own volition, our own thinking that determines what will make our life more enjoyable. And holding that clear image on the screen of our mind is going to get that to happen in our life and in an orderly way. Now, she goes on to say, if you train yourself in the practice of deliberately picturing your desire and carefully examine your picture. And again, she's saying you've got to exercise, you've got to train. This doesn't just happen. And in fact, for some people, to create an actual picture in your mind of what you desire is a very difficult thing because you haven't been programmed to do that. You know, someone who is very creative and right brain will have an easier time with this than someone who's more left brain like me, you know, lawyers, doctors, scientists, but you can do it, and you just have to train yourself. And even if you are very right brain, you've got to train yourself to build this picture in your mind. And see how she says it's a practice of deliberately picturing your desire. Every morning, first thing, see yourself living life as the person you want to be. And deliberately picture it. In other words, you're creating it. It's not just something that's popping up on the screen of your mind from some external force. No, it has to be you, what you really want, who you really want to be. And you picture it, and it's truly your heart's desire. That's what you're getting in touch with. And then you carefully examine your picture. Make sure this is really what you want, and keep fine-tuning it. And then you will soon find that your thoughts and desires proceed in a more orderly procession than ever before. See, it's order again. It's the picture creating order in your life. And the order that you create, just think of an orderly procession like if you think, well, I was watching a documentary and there was a father and a son, they were skiing and there was an avalanche and the son got buried under the snow. And the father was just going crazy, just, poking his ski pole all around trying to find his son. And then some friends skied up and they were poking all around in a very haphazard fashion, not able to find the boy. And then the ski patrol showed up, and the ski patrol director, he's like, all right, now I want you all in the line, and on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, stick your pole, 1, 2, 3, stick your pole, and you move a step forward, stick your pole, move a step forward, stick your pole. They found the kid in a matter of seconds, and he survived. That is the power that we're talking about here of holding an image in your mind, and everything starts to proceed in an orderly procession. Now she says, having reached this state of ordered mentality, you are no longer in a constant state of mental hurry. What does she mean with that? No longer in a state of mental hurry. This is such an important point, and it brings me back, year 88, long time ago. Brings me back to 1988 when I just started practicing law and I was working with a Wall Street law firm. And I remember sitting in this conference room and all of the people in the banking practice group were sitting around the table. And they all looked so intense. And I remember looking at them one by one. And as I recalled this recently when I was studying this Visioneering, it became so clear. A state of ordered mentality versus constant state of mental hurry. Here they were these Harvard grads and, Yale grads, top of their class, just the best lawyers in the country. They could argue you through a wall. They were just amazing people. I was so honored to work with them, but I noticed that every one of them had a nervous tic. Either your hands shake or your head bobs or, you like twist your neck continually. It's this tension in the body that stems from a state of mental hurry. And so while they were so well educated and so intelligent, they didn't understand what we are learning. And therefore they couldn't use it in creating the results they wanted in their life. And a lot of them went on to develop some pretty severe ailments. We want to really get this because we are blessed to be learning this concept of visioneering and to have this mental exercise so we can have this state of ordered mentality. And understand, hurry is fear and consequently destructive. So when we've got disorder in our mind, we've got confusion, we've got this mental hurry where your mind's going crazy and you're standing still but you feel like you're running. You know, it's that feeling like, I gotta run. It's that mental hurry. That stems from a lack of a clear picture in your mind. And what you want to do is mental toughness. Come back to the picture of what you want. You've got to know what you want first. You've got to know who you want to be and keep coming back to it. And as you're moving yourself out into this new image, taking action that feels so risky, so scary at times, you want to just keep coming back to that picture, and it's going to put you in a calm, confident state of mind because you're allowing that picture to impress upon your being, your emotional being, and it changes the vibration of your body. And you don't want to hurry. Hurry is fear and consequently destructive. Now, Genevieve Baran, she goes on, and I absolutely love this paragraph because she says, in other words, when your understanding grasps the power to visualize your heart's desire and hold it with your will, it attracts to you all things requisite to the fulfillment of that picture by the harmonious vibrations of the law of attraction. That is the most beautiful paragraph. If you had to pick one paragraph to write over and over, I'd write that paragraph, and I would commit it to memory because she says so much here that's important. She says, in other words, when your understanding grasps the power. I was talking to someone the other day who has been studying this kind of material for a long time. I think he said 20 years. And he said, I understand the material. That's not it, but I'm not getting the results I want. And I remember saying the same thing to Bob on a number of occasions. Bob, I'm not getting the results that I want. And he'd say, well, you've got to understand this better. And I'd say, well, I understand it, I could recite it to him. I could even teach it, but I wasn't getting the results I want. See, Genevieve Baran, she knew. Her awareness was so deep. When your understanding grasps the power, what does that really mean? It means that you take this lesson and you apply it, and you apply it in a very cheerful, expecting kind of state of mind, attitude, cheerful expectation. Even if you don't see the results in your physical world, your understanding knows that it's coming. If you can hold it in your mind, it is being created in your physical world, and your job is to keep holding it. What she's saying here with when your understanding grasps, she's saying that as your awareness rises and as you start implementing this in your life and you get a new experience, then your understanding through study and intelligent application is continually improving. And what does that do? It gives you greater access to this power of visioneering. And you start to be able to manifest much, much quicker. So when your understanding grasps the power, you want to keep studying this. It's a power that you have to visualize your heart's desire. And your heart's desire, we're talking about desire here. Your heart is the spiritual side of your being, and desire is the emotional part of your being. Desire has to be expressed. And if you keep feeding that desire, it will be expressed. You want to keep feeding it and do it in a very, very positive way. There's a beautiful book called The Miracle of Right Thought by Orson Swett Marden. And in the book, he starts out on the divinity of desire. And this is an old book. It's like over 100 years old. And it's so beautiful. And he says, listen carefully to this, because he says our heart longings, our soul aspirations, are something more than mere vaporings of the imagination or idle dreams. Listen to this. They are prophecies, predictions, couriers, forerunners of things which can become reality. They are indicators of our possibilities. They measure the height of our aim, the range of our efficiency. This is why you are here. This is why you're born. Everybody has a particular purpose in life. And your heart's desire gives you a glimpse of what that purpose is and of what's possible for you. And what you want to do is hold on to that. Don't let it be a fleeting thing that pops into the screen of your mind and it just goes away as quickly as it came. You want to build it and fuel it and focus on it. Visualize your heart's desire. and then hold it with your will. Holding it with your will, this allows you to hold it on the screen of your mind and to block out anything that's contrary to this new image of yourself that you're creating. That's what the will does. The will, it's not straining. It's not stressful. It's not forcing, because force negates. It's like if you think about an idea as a seed, an image of your new self-image is a seed you're planting in your mind, and you're allowing it to penetrate down into the ground, into the dirt, into the emotional part of your being, into your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind will just take it and run with it. But you've got to keep watering this idea. You got to keep feeding it. You got to keep sowing it. You have to put yourself in the right environment. You do that through studying. You do it through being in this coaching program. Keep doing what the gardener would do to tend to the garden, to build this idea. And it's not strenuous. If you don't see that carrot popping up through the ground, you're not going to dig it up and try to find it. You are going to just keep with a very cheerful expectation, with a feeling of pleasure, seeing yourself living that way and doing it in a state of gratitude, with thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, it's where it has its reason in the perfect wholeness of the law of being, is how Trower puts it, which only needs our recognition of it. In other words, as Gerda said, first you have to be it. You've got to be it before you can do it. That's what we're talking about. Be it in your mind. And then Genevieve Buran, she goes on to say something so beautiful. She says, you realize that since order is heaven's first law, here we come back to order again. She says it's heaven's first law, and visualization places things in their natural order, then it must be a heavenly thing to visualize. So we're coming back to the concept of order. It's order that we want to create. We create it in our mind through the image that we hold in our mind. And then she's saying it's heaven's first law. In other words, this is the key to living a heavenly life. What is heavenly? It's like trying to describe to someone what it feels like to be in love. You don't even know how to describe it. You don't know how to describe heaven, but you can describe some aspects of hell. And if you think of the corollary, hell would be the disorder, the chaos, the confusion, the lack of a clear image in your mind, and heaven would be having that beautiful clear image of who you are and of what you want, and it just puts you in this beautiful vibration. Visualization places things in their natural order. It places everything within you in a natural order. And see, what you're doing is you're creating this vibration that is in harmony with what you want. And then it attracts back to you all the resources, the people, and the things and the ideas that you need to manifest that, to manifest who you want to become and what you want. And everyone visualizes, whether he knows it or not. Visualizing is the great secret of success. Everyone visualizes. Charles Revson, who talked about Revlon, probably didn't even know that that's what he was doing. But he was using his imagination, holding it on the screen of his mind with his will, and he created it. All the people who have created something really great, the Wright brothers, I don't know if they probably didn't know that they were visualizing and visioneering. But everyone visualizes. The sad truth is that most people visualize what they don't want. You see, and so it's only the great secret of success when we are programmed to visualize what we want, or we learn to visualize what we want, and we deliberately picture what it is that we want. It's the great secret of success. Everyone visualizes, whether he knows it or not. And now, what we want to understand is we're trying to learn how to consciously use this power of visioneering. And the conscious use of this great power, that's what attracts you multiplied resources. Think about it. We started out the call by saying that everything you need is here right now. Everything is here. Nothing is created or destroyed. All the resources you need to be the person you want to be, to get what you want, is right here, right now. And it's your recognition of it that makes it so in your physical life, that allows you to manifest it. Your recognition of it gives it a great realizing conception. It gives more power to this exercise. The more you study it and allow it to really be impressed upon your subconscious mind, you will find that you have multiplied resources right here at your disposal. Then this is through the conscious use of this great power. It also intensifies your wisdom. One of my big goals when I was in that seminar in August 2006 was to learn how to teach this. I laughed at myself. I closed my book. I didn't want anyone to see it. Why? Because my self-image was that of a corporate attorney. And it wasn't of someone who was going to run a personal development company that operated in over 100 countries, and to teach this and to produce a program, which Bob and I did go on to do, create Thinking into Results, which is a program. My image was to produce the best program in the industry of its kind. And that's exactly what we did. And I did it through this visioneering. Genevieve Moran goes on, and enables you to make use of advantages which you formerly failed to recognize. You know, I didn't think I had advantages that were needed to do this, but my job was to build the image, create that image. That's your job, is to build that image. Remember, we saw the kitty cat looking into the mirror and you see the lion? As silly as that may seem, that's what you need to do. Allow yourself to be silly and let go of the past. Forgive yourself for anything that is limiting your image of who you are and what you want. And understand, as you study this and you intelligently apply what you learn through this, you will look back and say, my gosh, I had everything I needed. I had the resources. I had the wisdom. It's all here right now. And the subconscious mind is what taps you into it. And it's not a matter of your education. It's not a matter of what kind of money you have. It's not a matter of the relationships you're in. It's not a matter of any of that. The time you have or don't have, that's not it. It's about the mind. That's what it's all about. And it's about your marvelous mind. And when you fully understand how marvelous your mind is, you will have the most beautiful life, and you'll look back and say, wow, it's just so good. But remember how we started out. If you exercise the visualizing faculty, if you train yourself in the practice, wow, it all comes back to training your mind.